We begin with the flooding and the clean-up and more rain. Civil Defence join us live with the latest next. But first, while southeast Auckland has had a dry day, parts of the Coromandel region haven't been so lucky. Our reporter Zac Fleming and cameraman Bradley White are there. Hi, Zac.
Good evening, John. We're in Tairua. The road into here was reopened after earlier being closed this morning due to the slips and flooding. And clean-up in other parts of the Coromandel also got underway today, but it may have been a little bit too premature. In the last couple of hours here, it started pouring with rain and blowing a howling gale, and that's exactly what locals said they were most concerned about. The ground on the Coromandel hasn't had a chance to dry. And so if it starts raining again and keeps raining, that flooding is just going to come back, and locals are worried it might come back even worse. They say this is the worst weather they've seen in around 2 decades, and they think they got around twice the amount of rain that was initially forecast. Some people with home weather stations were saying things like 450 millimetres of rain in 24 hours. 2 of those people we met today kindly invited us into their homes. One of them was Neil Lamb. Neil woke up yesterday morning around 5 a.m. thinking that it was just the rain on his roof. He invited us, took us on a tour of his property earlier today.
I'm laying down here, pitch black, and I literally stepped out of bed, and the water was literally, you can see on the mattress, it wasn't far from getting to the top of my bed. If I'd stayed laying in bed, I probably would have started feeling the water fairly soon. And literally I stepped out and started wading around, and Bingo is his name, eh?
Welcome to the Lamb family home in the tiny Coromandel settlement of Hikowai. Neil and his 5-year-old daughter Tilly lead a humble life here on 17 acres of land that became a lake in the early hours of yesterday morning.
I've just gone boom, straight in, thigh deep, shorts are so my jocks are soaked, and then I'm wading around here and everything's just going everywhere and couldn't work it out, so.
Neil's home is made up of a series of cabins joined together. He and his daughter were asleep in one of the cabins as torrential rain pounded the tin roof.
And then I turned the light on and then realised what was going on. But my ranch slider, I opened that and it made no difference. There was no flow to the water. The water was just that high.
Tilly must have been dry on her bunk bed though.
She was laying up there fast asleep. I was sloshing around and trying to pick things up and sort stuff out for a good half an hour, 45 minutes I reckon. She only literally woke up 10 minutes before the fire brigade got here and then was still wondering what was going on.
Neil lives off the grid with gas and solar panels. As he waded around in the dark, the situation was even worse in his kitchen.
And it was up to my thighs, and things were floating around, my couch and chairs and the stools were all floating. All bottles of wine and things that I had down there, and the bottles of oil.
Did you manage to chase them away?
Oh, I've chased a bit of stuff. That's what I was standing there not sure what to do. But luckily all the lights were still working at that stage. My power box hadn't gone under then, so I still had power. So that made a big difference to be able to see. But as you come in, there was water just sort of flowing. And then the funniest thing was when the fire brigade guys came around through there, Tilly's kayak, because we'd only been paddling in the river the day before, it was a beautiful sunny day, and her kayak was sitting out there with a rope tied to it because I was towing her along, and one of the fire brigade, it must have hooked around his foot. And as he's come in this gap here into the kitchen, the kayak's towing behind him and he didn't know, and I've just looked, the kayak, you beauty. I'm looking out the window, out my door there.
So did you kayak out of here?
Yeah, so we got Tilly, we pulled the kayak up to here, we grabbed Tilly, we sat her in the kayak, gave her an umbrella, gave her a torch, and I packed a few things on top of her on the kayak because it was still bucketing down with rain, and we towed her out and then up the driveway, and about 100 metres, 120 metres, and their first response vehicle, the local fire brigade, were there, who I know all them guys, and that was as good as they could have got. They looked after us well.
While Neil doesn't have insurance, he says he's grateful for the community support and offers of help and accommodation.
I still don't know what to do. I've put all this stuff out. All her bits and pieces are all there. Look at that, my classic tapes are all gone forever. So it is what it is. The clean-up will start when the sun comes back out.
A few kilometres down the road, Neil's neighbour Craig Morrison is counting the cost of yesterday's deluge. He took us on a tour of his 300-hectare farm.
If you look down there, that's the main road with the Bailey Bridge, and as far as you could see, it was just one big sheet of water.
How bad is that compared to what you've seen in the past?
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. It's I have seen a lot of floods, but that was as big as any of them. It was as big as the big ones.
I'm standing under a tree on Craig's farm where even the lowest leaves are far out of my reach. Craig's wife Jenny showed me a photo of yesterday's floods where the water was nearly touching those lowest leaves, which means some parts of their farm were under around 2 metres of water. Craig still managed to milk his cows yesterday, but they had to swim to get there.
Well, you basically go down the farm and you drive through in the ute and they call the cows and they follow you through the water to the cow sheds. So, yeah, the cows do actually swim. You know, once they can't touch the ground, they can swim, and they can actually swim a long way, as long as it's not too swift. I just had a digger in for a week to tidy up all my culverts and do a few jobs, but no, he's probably coming back for 2 weeks now. You know, you've got to look at the size of this tree here. It's, you know, that's just come down the river. It's pretty massive.
Craig says it will take weeks or even months to repair his property's fences. For Checkpoint, Zac Fleming.
And if you were watching those pictures on Facebook Live, Freeview Channel 50 or YouTube, they were shot by Bradley White.